Dark secret horror novella about family mystery. The wind swept through the fir trees as Anna, Eric, and their 7-year-old son, Leo, wandered deeper into the dense forest. It was a chilly autumn day, and Eric had insisted on a family outing to get closer to nature. Anna had hesitated. There was something about this place, Svartmossen, that had always made her feel uncomfortable. "See how beautiful the forest is in autumn," Eric said enthusiastically. "This is exactly what we needed after all those stressful work weeks." But Anna couldn't shake a creeping sense of discomfort. She kept a watchful eye on Leo, who seemed unusually quiet as he walked ahead of them on the narrow, winding path. "Eric," she whispered, "do you remember what Greta in the village told us about this part of the forest?" Eric laughed. "You mean that silly tale about being careful not to go too deep into Svartmossen, especially in autumn, because that's when the forest spirit is particularly capricious." "Anna, please, it's just old superstition." Horror novella about family mystery. The disturbing discovery after half an hour of hiking, the forest suddenly opened into a small clearing. Anna stopped abruptly. Something felt wrong. It was unnaturally quiet, no bird songs, no rustling leaves, just a heavy, oppressive silence. "Look, Mom," Leo pointed eagerly at the ground. "Do you see the mushrooms?" Anna shuddered when she saw them. In the middle of the clearing grew a cluster of mushrooms in unnaturally bright colors, intensely red, cobalt blue, and poisonously green. They seemed to almost pulse in the subdued light, as if they had a life of their own. But it was Leo's reaction that really made her maternal instincts scream in warning. The boy stared at the mushrooms with an intensity that was almost obsessive. His eyes, usually soft and childlike, had a foreign glint, cold and calculating. "Leo, come back here," Anna said quickly. "Don't touch them, they might be poisonous." But Leo seemed hypnotized. He took a step closer to the mushrooms. "Leo," Eric raised his voice. "Listen to your mother." Leo turned around, and for a moment Anna saw something in his face that made her freeze. An expression of irritation and, was it hatred? But just as quickly it was gone, replaced by his usual innocent smile. "Sorry, Mom, they were just so pretty." Eric placed a hand on Anna's shoulder. "What's wrong? You look pale." "I don't know, I don't like this place. Can we go back now?" "We've barely begun exploring," Eric protested. "Come on, they're just mushrooms." But as they wandered deeper into the forest, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching them. The trees seemed to lean in closer, branches reaching out like fingers, and the light grew dimmer. A maternal fear comes alive when they paused for a quick snack. Anna noticed that Leo had disappeared from sight. "Eric, where's Leo?" Panic rose in her voice. Eric looked around, suddenly alert. "He was just here." They called his name, but only the echo of their own voices answered. What hides behind Leo's sinister facades? A horror novella about family mystery began to unfold in real life. After what felt like an eternity, they heard twigs snapping. Leo came walking from the shadows between the trees with something in his hand. "Where have you been?" asked Anna, her voice trembling with both relief and hidden fear. "I found something," Leo answered simply and held out a piece of paper. It was a drawing made with crayons. Anna took it with trembling hands. The drawing depicted a happy figure, obviously Leo, with disproportionately large, dark eyes, standing over two smaller, lying figures in what appeared to be a forest. "Leo, what is this?" "It's just a drawing," he said with a smile, but his eyes were cold. "It's me in the forest with you." Eric laughed nervously. "Why are we lying on the ground, buddy?" Leo looked at his father with a gaze that made Anna's blood run cold. "Because you're tired, very, very tired." Somewhere deep in the forest, a long, drawn-out call was heard, not unlike a child's laughter, but distorted and wrong. Eric reflexively gripped Anna's hand. "I think we're heading back now," he said, his earlier enthusiasm completely gone. But as they turned around, Anna realized with rising panic that she could no longer discern the path. Everywhere were just dark trees, identical in their menacing presence. "Eric," she whispered, "which way did we come from?" Eric swallowed hard. I'm not sure." They turned to ask Leo, but the boy stood motionless, staring into the forest with a smile. Not the innocent smile that belonged to their son, but something older, malevolent. "Leo." Anna's voice was barely audible. "They're coming," he whispered. "Who, Leo? Who's coming?" Eric gripped the boy's shoulders. "The friends from the forest. They've been waiting for me for so long. They told me to bring you here." Anna felt reality seemed to shift around her. How do you protect your family against the unknown? This horror story had no simple solution. For in that moment she understood the terrible truth. The boy in front of her was no longer, perhaps had never been, her son. Behind his innocent facade was something else. As the shadows between the trees seemed to move and gather, Leo pulled away from his parents. "I belong here," he said with a voice that was no longer a child's. "I always have." With one last, terrible smile, Leo turned and began walking into the darkness of the forest, as the forest itself seemed to close around him in a welcoming embrace. Eric took a step forward to follow, but Anna gripped his arm in an iron grasp. "It's not Leo," she whispered. It never was.